Hello YouTube and welcome to my channel, Eddieinreadingland. My name is Eddie and today I'm bringing a review of Phantasmagoria. Here we go. Phantasmagoria by Ian Daniels. Okay guys, so let me use the bottom camera so that we can see the very beautiful cover of the book. I am finally doing a review of Phantasmagoria and also Tarot of Vampires by Ian Daniels. But today we're going to focus on the book Phantasmagoria. And the first thing that I want to say about Phantasmagoria is that let me get my notes ready too. I don't know why I didn't, but here we go. Yes, I have a lot to say about this. I do want to say that my review of both Phantasmagoria and Tarot of Vampires is going to be honest, but I did filter myself a little as to what I wanted to say because I know that Tarot of Vampires, well, many things, is a TarotTube favorite. I know that it's very popular, and also I know that many people want it and many people don't have the opportunity to work with it. And I am very thankful that I have had the opportunity to work with this tarot and also to have read Phantasmagoria. It's an excellent book. But yes, so but without further ado, because I already rambled, let's talk about Phantasmagoria. So here we have the beautiful cover of the book. This is the Ten of Swords in the tarot. I'm going to take the opportunity to talk about the cover and also the title of the book since I have it over here. For those of us who don't know, Phantasmagoria is a series of images or pictures, usually creepy or bizarre in nature in a specific sequence. And the sequence is usually very dreamlike or blurry, or it has some sort of filter to it that makes the image a little bit obscured or weird. The images don't seem to look right. That is what Phantasmagoria is. So a good example of a phantasmagoric or phantasmagoric imagery, or if you've ever been in a show, those shadow puppets shows where they use the cucolores, that is a very good example of what Phantasmagoria is. Shadow puppets on the wall, or it's just it's meant to have a little bit of darkness to it. That's basically what that sequence of dreamlike images are. But that is what Phantasmagoria is. Ian Daniels actually does explain what why he chose Phantasmagoria as the title for his book. He does go over that in the book, but I love that he chose the Ten of Swords. This is the image of the Ten of Swords in the tarot, because this is I really like this representation of the Ten of Swords, and I know, even though it's not a numerological meaning for the Ten of Swords, is a very, maybe hopeful is not the word, but it's a very positive depiction of the Ten of Swords, because I feel that this person, whoever tried to kill this vampire here, well, first of all, one of two things. Either they didn't know that she was a vampire and they tried to kill her, and you know, now she will probably have her revenge, or she probably already did. I mean, with her mouth filled with blood, she probably already did. Or number two is they missed, and she still has that chance to not be sacrificed. She still has that chance to go and seek out her revenge or seek out retribution for what has been done to her. So I really, really like that depiction of the Ten of Swords. We usually see this very final, very finite doom image where we have those 10 swords just well, we have those 10 swords on a corpse. The image is, well, to me, it's a corpse. Again, Not my favorite depiction of the Ten of Swords, but I really, really like this one. A non-numerological depiction of the Ten of Swords, and this one I really like. Really, very much enjoy this. But yes, so that the book regarding tone and writing. So the tone is actually pretty gothic. It's very it's definitely romantic, I do want to say, which I do not favor. I do not like romantic language, but this time for Phantasmagoria, I didn't mind because it just plays very well with the vampire archetype. So, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I got it. And it really, the language of the book really allows you to enjoy working with the tarot even more, because obviously Ian is a very, it's a fan of Gothic literature. He definitely is. There's a lot of elements of Gothic literature, and ironically, I like Gothic literature. I don't like the romance part of it, but everything else, it's just, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the language, especially Victorian Gothic. It's my favorite. But yeah, so it puts you in the right mood for the theme of the tarot. So I really, actually, I did appreciate that. I didn't mind that it was also romantic. The other thing that I was going to say about his writing is that he's inordinately descriptive in his writing. I am not sure yet if I like that or not, because sometimes he would just repeat himself over and over again using different words, but it conveyed the same meaning. The sentence had the same meaning. So it's one of those things where I think that a good editing pass would have done well for Ian, because they could have removed a lot of sentences, a lot of unnecessary descriptions for most of the cards, I have to say. But yes, he is descriptive enough that the tone is also slow. Even though this is not a very big book, as you guys can see, the tone of the book is slow. Even for a nonfiction book, this is quite slow. And I am a reader who doesn't like to rush their experience of a book, but I found myself really wanting to rush because it was just very descriptive, and the description didn't really add anything. It didn't add anything to the explanation or the reasoning behind whatever card he was explaining or whatever the theme that he was going. And did not like that about Phantasmagoria. But Ian Daniels does set his intentions immediately clear from the first essay that he has on his book. And he does tell us that, this is here we go, guys. This is a shadow deck. He goes over fear in the shadow here. He explained what he means by that. He explains a little about what the shadow is for him and why he chose the shadow as why he chose vampires to convey the shadow meaning of the tarot that he created. And I think that more artists should do this. If you're creating a shadow deck, tell us why you're creating a shadow deck, and what is the inspiration. Clearly, vampires, for your tarot. But he does go into what the shadow is and what is for him the shadow. He even goes into the psychology of the shadow as well, which is amazing. One of the reasons why I do tarot and I practice tarot and I journal every day with the tarot is because of the shadow. I like working with the shadow side of myself. there's so much growth and so much development that I can get by working with the things that are uncomfortable for me, or that I find uncomfortable in myself. So and he does go into that as well. He's very good at that. There are other things that he goes over related to vampires, and he has an essay on what he considers the hunger of the vampires to be, and I thought it was very interesting. He, like I said, he has the right tone for the book. It's just that the whole the writing it's a bit slow, and it gets slower as the book goes on, which is also something that it's very unusual for nonfiction books. But as in any case, one of the other things that I wanted to highlight in the beginning of his writings is that he goes over the back of the cards. Oh gods, I should have brought the at least one card with me. Bear with me, guys. Let's see. I am taking a card from here. Here we go. So these are the backs of the... Well, I mean, I'm sure that you guys know because the Tarot of Vampires is so popular. But these are the backs. And he goes over... Oh, come on. I hate it when... well, I'll talk about more about the... Oh, there we go. I'll talk about more about the cards in the review of the tarot itself, the deck itself. But he goes over why he chose this Bloody Rose as the backs. And he gives a really good description on that and a very good reasoning behind choosing that Blood Rose and what it means. And the good thing about the back of the cards is that the rose actually keeps coming up over and over again in the artwork, and also on the description of the art that has the red rose. And he's very consistent with that. I really, really like that. It's one of the things that I would like more artists to do, and it's be consistent with the theme of the artwork or the symbology that they're using for the specific tarot that they're creating. So I found that I found like that most authors should definitely do that. I really, really enjoy it. But then he also goes a little into the major arcana, and here we have a chart he wrote the book thinking that you were going to be a beginner while choosing to use this tarot. And I thought that was extremely good because I don't know if I should talk about that now or if I should wait until I see the cards, but I'm going to talk about it now. There are more similarities to the Taunt Tarot than there are similarities to the Rider-Waite-Smith or even the Marseille, or a more numerological meaning of the cards. But he does give you, if you guys are not familiar with, I'm sure we are, I'm sure we all are, but he gives us the trumps, and he gives us the Hebrew letters for the major arcana, and then he goes into the minor arcana, and he starts to explain why he changed the name of the suits. For the tarot, we have scepters instead of wands, we have grails instead of cups, we have knives instead of swords, and skulls instead of pentacles. It did not, I didn't have a learning curve for it. It felt very organic, especially when you see the cards. It's, he did a really good job. I don't really like when people change the names of the suits. Usually I don't like that, but I found myself not minding because it feels very on theme with the vampires, and it feels better that he did change the name of the suits so that it would fit that gothic vampire romance thing that he has going on with the with the tarot. So but he does explain why he did that, and how scepters, grails, knives, and skulls are significant to vampires. So again, excellent, awesome. And let's see, what else do I want to say about this? We have certain information about the Kabbalah. He does go into the Kabbalah, and but he does use Crowley's placement of the majors on the tree, which is something that I don't really align with very well. I like the Emperor being here instead of the star, and the star being here instead of the Emperor, but it's fine. So he does go into that. And if you guys are not familiar with Kabbalah, then you will be. It's incredibly fascinating, actually. And he did a really good job also distilling the Kabbalah into a comprehensive basic description of the Kabbalah and what they're supposed to do, and what, with the Sephiroth and the worlds. Yeah, I mean, overall he did an excellent job. I actually Racine from Owl Moon 513. Oh God, I hope I got those numbers right. This is one of her favorite tarots. Actually, no, this is Racine's favorite tarot. And she does say that Phantasmagoria is a great resource for every tarot reader, and I would have to agree. Especially if you like Gothic romance writing, then this would be up your alley. I completely agree with her. But yeah, as you guys can see, he does go into a lot of more things. There are spreads here that you guys can use to get familiarized with tarot. Even before he goes into the description of the cards, he gives you some exercises and spreads to use. I think mostly so that you feel more comfortable using the tarot, or actually the tarot of vampires. And he gives you a feeling of how he would like for us to use the cards. And I thought that was fine. And they're also very on brand with the vampire theme. So, it's pretty cool. I really like that. But moving on. So we do have a very extensive essay on each of the cards. One of the things that I did like about that is that he does provide the same amount of information and or care for each of the cards, and that extends even to the minors. But for example, here we have the beginning of the major arcana, and we have the Fool. And he calls it the alchemy, but it's basically what the trump is and how it connects in the tree of law. So it's actually the Kabbalah. And then he has kindred spirits over here. And if I'm not mistaken, and if I remember correctly, because I read Phantasmagoria last year, these are either spirits or guides that relate to the card in some way, and or are also the titles from the is it the Golden Dawn? The Golden Dawn titles? Or maybe it's the occult titles. As in any case, here we have the kindred spirits. And then he goes into what he calls the essence, and that is basic keywords for each of the cards. And then he goes and tells us the message, and this is what he would like for the card to describe or convey in meaning. And some of the cards he has are very extensive. As you can see, this is very extensive for the Fool. Now, I'm not saying that I agree 100% with everything that he wrote in the book, because that would be a lie. I don't. But at least for his tarot, it is actually very it's very well done. I believe it's it does convey everything that he says here in the message. It is being conveyed on the illustration. most of the time. I'll get to that later. But then he goes into an analysis of in symbolism, and here is where this book really shines, because he goes into every single detail of why he decided to portray those symbols and why the art is that way, and why, you know, the tarot has very dynamic poses, and I really like that. And he goes over why that certain pose, you know, why that is certain expression, why are we seeing the rose, for example, or why are we seeing the totems in the, he has totems for each of the suits. It's incredibly fascinating. I would love that every artist would do this, because even if they're just providing us with basic meanings of the cards, that's fine. But I want to know about the art. I want to know why they chose to do what they did for the card. I would love every artist to do that, and I know that is a big ask because it's more work, and most artists are not writers, and I totally get that. But even just a little bit, a snippet would be fine. And this is where Ian actually blooms as a rose, because he did an amazing job. And not content with that, he also gives us the shadow side of the card, and this is where he literally flips the switch on us and gives us the shadow aspect of the card as he sees it and as he portrayed it on the card, and it's just wonderful to learn about it. I use reversals as a tarot reader who uses reversals. One of the aspects of reversals that I like to use is the shadow aspect. I like to call it the shadow aspect of the card, and the shadow is one of those things that I look at when the card comes reversed. So I love that. I love that, and I love that he took the time to give us that. And like I said, this goes through every single one of the cards, even in the minors, and let me show you, and even the court cards. But the court cards are something different. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Here are the minors, and as you can see, we have the exact same thing, guys. Here we have the alchemy, the kindred spirits, the essence, the message. As you can see, this is a little shorter, but as you can see, the analysis and symbolism is actually quite long for the Ace of Scepters, even though, you know, the image is quite simplistic in the, well, that's not true because it's very detailed. But the symbolism is quite simplistic. He goes over that, and he also gives us the shadow of that. And for the decans, he gives us the decans over here for the pips who are under the decans. And this is one of the things in where his description kind of falters, or it confuses me for some of these cards. The best example that I can give you as to what this confusion is for the Eight of Skulls. The Eight of Skulls is the Eight of Pentacles. Here we go, guys. Let me show you the Eight of Skulls. Here we have the Eight of Skulls. Now this is the Eight of Pentacles, so usually we are used to seeing a craftsman or a blacksmith or an artist or a person who is working on something manual, right? We see it's meant to portray, in my opinion, it's meant to portray discipline, it's meant to portray mastery of skill, it's meant to portray prudence, it's meant to portray commitment to your craft and to what you're doing. And this happens with a lot of the cards, guys, I do have to admit. And if you don't read Phantasmagoria, you will not get a lot of the meaning of the card just by looking at this image. Because honestly, when I first looked at this Eight of Skulls, I did not see discipline or craft, like this person, this vampire, developing their skills. I didn't see commitment. I didn't see this. I don't even see a goal here. I don't know what this person's goal is. When I look at the card, when I read it, it made sense a little. So, for example, for the Eight of Skulls, he goes into this person being a necromancer, and how it's a branch of magic that is very difficult to work in this world that he has created for us. And like I said, he does go into why the skull is here, why this burst of energy is here, why we have a book. But still, I wouldn't have known that this person was a necromancer just by looking at this card. And also, I'm not really sure, but I don't, let me show you guys. Here on the essence, he says that the card is meant to portray prudence and discretion, craftsmanship, working towards a goal, organization, self-discipline, satisfaction, and various other things that I actually do equate with the Eight of Skulls, but that I am not seeing here. It's yeah. And the other thing is that the Eight of Skulls or the Eight of Pentacles is one of my 4 major favorite cards in the tarot, and it's very important for me. And it didn't feel even like the shadow aspect of the Eight of Skulls or the Eight of Pentacles, and yeah, it's confusing. It's confusing because he does go into the analysis of the art and the symbolism as well, but it doesn't seem to make sense. And unfortunately, like I said, this doesn't only happen for this card. There are other cards that happens that this happened. There are other cards that he did an excellent job at describing what's going on the scene, and you can definitely tell that there is that going on the scene. But with some of the cards, it just it didn't land very well, and that's a little disappointing. But yeah, overall, just for the rich information that Phantasmagoria has, I do feel like this is a great resource for every tarot reader, and mostly because I feel like Ian Daniels's description of the cards and what he means for the cards to mean and to portray is, I found, incredibly outside of the box. And even though this is a more taught tarot related deck, I feel like it's its own thing. When I started reading with the Tarot of Vampires for myself for daily draws, I'll go more over that on the review of the deck. But when I started thinking and using the tarot as its own system and as its own deck that used the structure of tarot to create its own world, it got a lot better for me reading with it. So, and I think that was possible because of this book, because of Phantasmagoria. I cannot stress enough that if there is a book for the tarot that you are using, please read it. Especially this one, Phantasmagoria. If you ever see this book in the wild, get it, because it is a great resource. There is really good language here that aligns really well with the structure of tarot and what that tarot is, and it just makes you think further than just the regular sort of meaning for the cards. I mean, clearly, obviously, especially with this Eight of Skulls, you need to work really hard in providing a meaning to this using the description that he gave us, and then trying to relate it to something new while not losing the structure of the tarot. So it is really good. I have to admit that it's really good. I have to agree with Racine that, and I say Racine because she always talks about tarot vampires and she always talks about Phantasmagoria. It is a great resource, guys. Let me know on the comments below what you think about Phantasmagoria, and let me know if you, in fact, would love to read Phantasmagoria, because I know I do, and I'm very thankful that I have this deck, and that I got to read Phantasmagoria, because yes, it is a great tarot resource. I have to admit that Racine was right. It is a really good tarot resource. But thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate that you were here with me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.